well centered there. Know how to do something. Separate steering filter, huh? Well, that would do it. Oh, I presume sound and video are fine, everybody? Clutch and brake type, huh? That would be more like a track loader, huh? You're live and reasonably clear. Well, at least the electronics are. The brain, who knows,
Some sort of a flying insect in the house, by the way.
Track loader, yep. That's usually what clutch and brake types are. Anyhow, we had a real fun and interesting week this week. Oh, honey bunny, goodness. Hello, Jean-Francois. Yeah,
Ask if anybody has T-Mobile.
Eva wants to know, does anyone have T-Mobile as their cell provider? And if so, how do they like their service? They're trying to sell her a new plan we're on Verizon now. So she'd like to hear what people have to say.
Yeah, since Verizon is like expensive.
Yeah, Verizon is pretty expensive. It's like $200 a month for one flip phone. And so how's the coverage and service and everything, Dave? Is it working well? Got any complaints or any?
Is that Dave from here?
Yeah, it's Dave, man.
Okay, yeah.
He says the coverage is good. You had any problems with the service okay, he says service is good. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I think we could save about $80 a month. You said video feed froze. Okay, I don't see any frozing. Does anyone else see any frozing? Okay, apparently she got it fixed. But they charge you an extra $5 to pay in store. Really? Interesting. You mean pay your monthly fee in store? Okay.
Well, since we'd be saving over 80.
Virgin Mobile is $77 a month with data in Canada, according to Rock. Hey, Rock, I hope you have fun deer hunting. Glad to see you showed up at least for a few minutes. I know you're going to have to be leaving quite early, but that's understandable. We had a fun week. I mean, that with all the snow, we were kind of prevented from doing a lot, and with the cold temperatures, we were prevented from going out to the ranch and doing stuff there. So when we had somebody south of here, I don't know, it's a little over an hour. What would you say, Dave? It was Cardwell is what, about 60, 70 miles from Helena is all. And hello, DRS. Of course, he's going to try. I almost got Bambi. That close. Hi, Brian. And yeah, I had well, first of all, we went around we drove around all day on Saturday. The first location that that my host had planned turned out to be the road was pretty bad shape in terms of ice, and he didn't want to attempt that particular section of road with the pickup. So we came back the next day with a quad, and And we went up there. I said, first day, saw a lot of great scenery and places I'd never been and stuff. And we, in one area we were hunting, that's the licenses. He had his licenses, I had my license, and we could shoot, between the two of us, we could shoot any elk and any deer that we ran into. On the other side of the highway, first of all, there's not any elk in the area we were at, but we could only shoot bucks. So instead, of course, saw a doe. But we had, as I say, it was real fun there. And then the next day, we went up to that initial spot with the quad. Went up there, and I was walking a ridge down from a higher elevation while he was waiting at the bottom end of the ridge with the quad to, pick me up. And because I was in a new area, I'd never been there before, I got a little confused and went off the side of the ridge towards the road early. But well, Eva wasn't sure. She didn't realize that mule deer have white rump patches just like elk do. And so anyway, he got a glimpse of an elk, but was unable to get a shot off. The weather was bad Sunday morning. It was not horribly cold, not for up here. It was relatively warm for up here, like upper 40s. Constant drizzle to rain. And I was dressed for it, thank God. I had waterproof outer clothing and stuff, but you got long underwear, jeans, waterproof overpants. Then I had an undershirt, a long sleeve shirt, a coat, a waterproof overcoat, and then you have to wear an orange vest here. And hey, Lars. And so it's a little cumbersome, but it was quite warm. And so I wasn't having any trouble with the cold, but the rain made life difficult in terms of the optics on the rifle. I just completely gave up on the binoculars because I just, they're just sitting right here getting rained on. So it was ridiculous. With the rifle, I could lay it across my arm and then cover the objective with my hand. So that helped. And then I went and was wandering around. It was dark, it was cloudy, near dawn. And I thought I saw a couple of deer down in the trees there. And I'm sitting there looking at them and going, is that those deer? Then one of them moves off. It's like, I'm guessing those are deer. So I went to a kneeling position because I wobble terribly. And from a standing position, safety off, crosshairs on the chip. Finally, it took me a little bit, almost a second or two, just to clearly identify the shape of the deer and where the chest was and everything. If it had been a place where I had to, identify whether or not it had horns, I might have been in big trouble, or antlers rather, before anyone jumps on me. And but I was safety off, just starting to pull the trigger when it turned around and headed off. And I didn't have a good clear shot. I didn't have good clear visibility to pull a shot, so I didn't do anything. So I came that close. 1 or 2 seconds, the gun would have gone bang. Yeah, I knew someone would catch that real quick. Those damn black elk with the white faces. Yeah, you shoot one of them, they're not in season. But anyhow, It was close. I had fun. I dealt with the weather just fine. I dealt with a rather unusual situation, like hauled up in the in the middle of the mountains. Said, "Walk down here. Make sure you don't cross to the wrong side of the ridge, or you'll be screwed." And just keep going until you get to the that spot where I showed you earlier. And in the rain, um, and it was uh, not too bad. And then when I did see deer, I didn't have buck fever, didn't do anything stupid, didn't get too excited, just calmly went about my business. So I was pretty happy. Um, the one thing that's negative is when you have all those clothes on, when you suddenly have to go to the bathroom, it can become a race of time. So that was kind of unpleasant. But I managed to win. Anyhow, I had a great time. Eva enjoyed the painting, and um, we just had a great trip. We really did. We had a fun time. The person we were visiting also had some samples that he had. These were from somebody else. He had some buckets he'd gotten from them in a while back, and he had an interesting situation in terms of he'd screened it down to where he had a almost a bucket of finer material. I think it was 12 mesh minus or something. And the material did not want to pan. There was the heavies, the gold did not want to separate from the other heavies. And I've been panning long enough to have a high level of confidence that that stuff that looked like quartz that was still sticking in the pan and masking the gold and stuff, it was, I don't, if it was quartz, I'd never seen any quartz that heavy before. It looked like quartz. I will absolutely agree. It's so small. Correct, Rock. It was so small that I couldn't do any real tests and um, to hardness or anything like that. But it was there was some what looked to be hexagonal crystals, some double terminated little teeny things, and I looked up barite uh, on the internet when I got back, and they didn't show any crystals that looked anything like what I saw. Now that doesn't mean that, and I just say I really don't know, but it seemed real heavy to me. I could not. Hey Jim, how's it going? Lead oxide. Does lead oxide have hexagonal crystals that look like quartz? There was some cubic stuff that was dark gray and that really stuck well to Vaseline. I put a little Vaseline in a thing and swirled stuff around, and uh, that gray stuff really liked the Vaseline. It just stuck like that. Um, in terms of density, I would tend to agree, Jim, but I've never heard of lead oxide being uh, transparent or hexagonal. I mean, it visually under the microscope, it looked like quartz. If that's the only thing I could have done, I would say that looks like quartz. We had hexagonal, double terminated, long, slender crystals. We had more massive, broken up stuff too that looked like crushed quartz. Don't know. A multi element analysis would, of course. So, uh, but that, was beyond the the scope of my abilities. Anyhow, it was interesting. Also, there appeared to be what I would say were two forms of gold. Okay. One was very fractal, porous, dendritic, just, the usual stuff. But the um, other stuff was rounded. It looked, similar to what nuggets would, except highly polished, and also was that same buttery yellow or even yellower. Um, I was unable to determine for certain. What I tried to do is pick out some of that round stuff with a pair of tweezers, but finding something that was big enough to actually get with the tweezer, get them between the ends of the tweezers, and then squeeze with my fingers and get it, see if it would mash or break. And I was unable to do that for certain. Okay. I don't think it's rolled river gold because it was very polished surface looking. Okay. And so that is, um, where's your American Rocks and Field Guide to North American Rocks and Minerals, little one?
Right over here.
Could you look up barite, please, and see if there's anything that looks like what we were looking at? But anyhow, so that was a test. We do have native tin here, honey bunny, but it's not going to be buttery yellow. It could be a rounded chalcopyrite, maybe, but I don't know.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so. It looked like gold. Chalcopyrite has it has crystal faces every time I've seen it, and that's, I know, honey bunny. You get a 30 mesh piece of something and try and do stuff like that to it, it gets it really difficult to do these tests. That dark gray mineral, I was able to get a nice cube of that, a little one, and I'm trying to break it or squish it between the tips of the pliers in my fingers, and it just kept squirting out between the tips. Now, by holding my fingers like this while I'm squeezing it, it doesn't just go flying through the air. But I mean, it did not want to break. It was pretty hard, And so I don't know. Now, another thing that would be easy to test, if you had a little mercury, you could take a little mercury plate and drop those things on it and see if it sticks. That would work out pretty definitively also. Say, my guess, I mean, I've got a high level of confidence it was gold. My host had fairly confident that it was some kind of pyrite, but I've never seen rounded pyrite. I mean, a rounded chalcopyrite. The only pyrite I've seen that's anywhere near that color would be a chalcopyrite, and I've never seen rounded chalcopyrite. Exactly. That's why it would be a good diagnostic test, honey bunny. I say so would crushing, if I could just get a piece to crush. On the other hand, if you had a little mercury plate, it would be pretty easy to rub a sample onto that and see what stuck. That'd be pretty, and then wash everything else. And I say it's possible, Chris. I could not get a definitive test. Everything was a pain in this pan. I've never had anything that was so hard to pan. I mean, I just could not get the gold to separate, which is why I'm thinking whatever that stuff that looked like quartz was, it wasn't quartz. He had a blue bowl too. And when he cranked up the speed on the blue bowl, that white stuff just stayed there. Now I say there was white stuff and things that looked like quartz, double terminated. They looked superficially the same, but they could be different, and I say there was absolutely no indications. Of course, I didn't test for I couldn't even get a single piece that I could work with. It's too small. But this stuff that was rounded was
The
polished.
specific
Rounded.
gravity on barite is 4.3 to 4.
I understand. Crystal, take a look at it. What does it look like?
Yellow panes of glass.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't see any tabular crystals.
What I was seeing.
Yeah, I was not seeing tabular crystals in any way, shape, or form. Now that white stuff might have been barite, and there might just be a bit of quartz contamination. The long, skinny crystals might just be hard to tell. You know, they might just want to stroll out there, but I don't know. I simply don't know if there's anything that looks like quartz. Um, Al, he only has 30 buckets of it and stuff, but yeah, the amount of gold in there, even if the rounded gold looking stuff was not gold, that's still pretty good stuff. Okay. I would say if just the more fractal stuff was gold, you're probably looking at an ounce to the ton or something. If you're talking about
the crystal and stuff could have been white topaz,
white topaz,
yeah.
Is it hexagonal?
Pretty darn close to it. There are several things in that.
Rock says zircon does not form elongated prismatic crystals, though. Okay. But anyhow, it was an interesting thing, which I wasn't able to determine.
Grossular garnets can be clear.
With any, Chris says beryl does. So, yes, I do not know. Beryl isn't that dense.
Yeah, beryl isn't that dense. I'm looking at the picture of it here, though.
And I say, so this is where it's one of those things that we really need to look at greater sand. Now, what I was thinking of doing would be, didn't look fibrous. No, it looked exactly like a quartz crystal would.
Yeah.
A long, skinny quartz crystal. But anyhow, we're thinking next time we go down there to take the little mini sluice, the VDR mini sluice, so we can sluice a much larger amount of material real quick. And I mean, that Blue Bull is a pretty slow machine. But it could quickly get enough of the yellow minerals one way or the other that we should be able to, find some big enough to try crushing. I mean, chalcopyrite versus gold is easy if you just have a decent sized chunk. Just squish it. Chalcopyrite shatters into pieces, gold squishes. And it would depend on what you're doing, but I mean, you can clearly separate black sand, specific gravity around 6-ish, from silica around 2.5. So I think they're probably like a couple of points on the specific gravity scale. You could probably do it, and that's why it was just driving me crazy, and I'm not sure. So I'd like to do a concentrate and then wet chemical analysis, just send it off to a lab for multi-element analysis. That would be cool. But not sure. It's frustrating to have something you don't have an answer to. Say, I would like to take the mini sluice next time and try some stuff, and then try and get enough of the material, those yellow things, so we can actually take a one of the rounded pieces, and squish it. Okay. If you can get a big enough chunk, it is real easy to tell the difference. Real easy. But it's getting that separated individual piece that you can put between pliers or something. You know. Yeah, we could maybe do that. And say my host was he's more interested in kind of hobby scale rather than production scale. He wouldn't mind having a mine, but that's not his main focus. So it's a little different than the usual people we deal with, and he seems to be having a great time, and that is way cool.
That's all that's important.
But I say it just throughput wasn't his thing, and that's just so different from what I'm used to. Almost everyone that's through. How much can I process? And he's more like, I just want to, get some clean this and that and the other, and seems to be having a good time. So that's great. And but I say, I think mercury would be a good way of testing it, and so would squishing it. But first, concentrating more. That's why I want to take that little mini sleuth with us. It wouldn't take much time to find out if that was gold. It would be hanging up in the sawtooth up top, and that would make it easy to figure something out. And so that's they typically limited. How do XRF machines work in practice? Are they outputting a septum and are typically limited by the maker's flag and finite number of? It's, I think, above a certain nuclear size, Jean-Francois, and they have a lot of stuff all at once. It gives you a massive readout. Let me get one of the things that Rock did for me. Okay, Jean-Francois. Here's the suite of elements. Glasses? Where's the other glass? There we go. Here's the suite of elements that a single XRF test ran: gold, silver, iron, nickel, copper, zinc, arsenic, magnesium, sulfur, aluminum, silicon, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, chromium, manganese, cobalt, selenium, yttrium, zirconium, niobium, molybdenum, cadmium, tin, tungsten, lead, bismuth, thallium, uranium, and Le. I'm not sure what Le is. But anyhow, so that gives you an idea. That's a single test. Okay. So that you get quite a few elements. Now, the problem is certain elements are more affected by interferences than others. Gold is one, because gold is valuable in such small concentrations, and there's some stuff that can be confusing. It's difficult to use them to determine gold concentrations at the ounce per ton level. Okay. And that's rock is exactly, what I'm saying. You just send it off to a big lab and say, hey, do a multi-element analysis on it. It gives you 52 elements with high precision and reliability. XRF is quick. It's not highly reliable, especially in low concentrations. If you're looking at the iron concentration. Never use ICP-MS to determine accurate gold grades. Really? You got some kind of interference going on there, Rock? Yep. I say it's just one of those things that if you got a lot of something, like if you're trying to determine the gold concentration in a doré bar, yeah, it'll do a pretty good job. If you're trying to find a quarter of an ounce per ton material, XRF is not the way to go. They have some wet chemical analyses. You can use aqua regia digestion, followed by an MIBK extraction, and then atomic absorption finish, or you can do an ICP. Apparently, Rock says that's not reliable, and then you've got the fire assay. Okay. And Rock should know. I mean, that's his business, basically, to do these sorts of things. And that's another one of the issues involved in exploration is there's no one test method that works best for everything. There's not one that works good for everything. It's always, what are you looking for? And XRF is, in my opinion, not terribly good that in those low concentrations for gold and platinum group metals. Silver, maybe, because it has to be like 50 times as abundant as gold to make it valuable. But once you start getting in the base metals, XRF works pretty well. Because, now you're talking about, fractions of a percent, 1/10 of a percent, things like that. Yeah, XRF can usually do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rock. But I say, when you're looking for copper and things like that, I think XRF would tell you what you need to know. So, as I say, there's a lot of different ways to do it, and these are some of the limitations. If you've got something really abundant, XRF will work. If it's not, then you got to do some other stuff. Let's see. What else happened? Let's see. We got the rounded gold. Got that. High density quartz like mineral. Yeah. Now the weather has changed. It has gotten much warmer, as in, nighttime temperatures around freezing. Let's see what the current outlook is for Montana B. According to the current weather thingy, Tuesday, today it's 55 and 35 with rain. Tuesday, 52 over 32, partly cloudy. Wednesday, 45 over 22, sunny. Thursday, 46 over 23, sunny. Friday, 46 over 27, partly cloudy. Saturday, 48 over 31, sunny. Sunday, 48 over 32, sunny. Now, those are perfectly acceptable conditions to operate in. The snow has melted at the lower elevations. We were driving in the general area this week, and those mountains were pretty much snow-free. So the plan is this week we'll be working a few things around town, then go out to the ranch for a couple of days, and then this weekend go back to Montana B. If we get 3 or 4 weekends of this kind of weather, hopefully we'll be down to the 40-foot level. And that would be good to complete before the season is over. We're also planning on taking stuff from the mystery dump and crushing it and running hybrid tests. So far, the hybrid test, the sluice seems to be getting roughly 3 times the gold that a 3-day bottle roll got out of the tailings. Okay. So seems to be reasonably effective. Plus, again, the tailings, coarse tailings will stockpile, and the fine tailings and slimes just go out onto the pad to be leached over the winter and stuff. It gives plenty of time for chemistry to do its thing. And that should be, good to get going, get some stuff done. We also have a little bit of resin we could finish stripping, and that would be kind of nice to do. And so say for the last of November, we should be pretty busy until the winter actually closes in here. We'll see. I think last year it was into December before we finally got shut out at Montana B. Do you recall?
It was late November. It was almost Thanksgiving.
About Thanksgiving, you think? Okay.
Yeah, we went one weekend after Thanksgiving. It was like the first weekend in December we went, but that was basically it.
Yeah, okay, well.
Because we couldn't process
early December, that's what I was saying.
We couldn't process anything.
Yeah, we couldn't process anything, but we can stockpile it. And we can also make progress down the decline, get the ladder track extended and stuff like that. And so what do you think of running leach through my grinding crushing circuit, then filling a tote with the mill run material, starting it as an agitated leach, as finishing a tank leach? That could work quite well. I would suggest taking a running split of the material as you crush, or crush up a batch, split it down to a sample, set that to the side, then do your tests, and also check your solution concentration at various stages and see how well it's working. Because there will come a point where you don't want to spend the effort to continue tank leach or vat leach or whatever. Okay. It's time to dump that and get a new batch in. And the only way to find that out is to actually test it. Theory doesn't. Yeah, we had some snow, that's for sure. That's right, Shaggy. But so I say this is one of the things that it would be nice to get some more stuff done. You take care, Rock. Keep it safe. And, good luck. Okay. You can do that in Montana, Rock. And so anyhow, that's kind of our plan for the next however many weeks we have decent weather. Impossible to tell. And we'll go ahead and do what we can. And then this fairly soon, we're probably going to be heading down to Dave's mine and taking a look at that. Oh, I don't know about that, Rock. You might be able to go from one corner to the other corner, especially on the roads, because it's going to tend to be a bit of this, not direct line of sight. But anyhow, Dave, his situation is theoretically open most of the year. and we'll see what's there. If nothing else presents itself, we'll probably be doing some construction this winter or something. With the overall situation that the world is in right now, it seems prudent to uh, squirrel away as much resources as possible while you can, because don't know how long it's going to last. Right now, the labor situation is so tight here in Helena that it shouldn't be hard at all. That's one of the possibilities, Jean-Francois. Absolutely. But I think societal disruption / economic dislocation is almost a guarantee. World War III is lower on the probability list, although certainly it's very high on the consequences list. But I think on the probability list, the idea of significant societal or economic disruptions in this country are well above 50%. That's my feeling. We're in a pretty good situation. We've had time to put together a network here, and possibly Jean-Francois, and so I say we shall see what we shall see this winter. It's really between now and next U.S. presidential inauguration day. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I have a feeling a lot of rather significant stuff is going to happen. So it's flexibility and adaptability seems to me to be the key. But that's kind of what we're focusing on. Is we don't have near as much laboratory stuff to do this winter, and we will just exactly in the words of Gunny Highway. But that's it's going to be a very interesting winter. I have a feeling, but in the near term, work Montana B as long as we can. Work the mill as long as dihydrogen monoxide remains a liquid. I only think we got like 1 or 2 batches of resin to even strip at this point. We got like 2 partially loaded, I think. 2 cartridges, little one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those I'd like to hold on until next spring, when theoretically, what happened this spring was the solution concentration of gold in the solution was substantially higher than it is now. And so I would not I'm thinking that we can use that as a test thing. Next spring, we can use the resins that didn't completely load this year and put them in and see how well they load up next year. Yeah, well, unfortunately, John, that doesn't help the situation, But anyhow, that's kind of the plan. So we should have some fun videos, some mining stuff, and I really need to get out a video on the efficacy of that VDR mini sluice. That's what I'm thinking, Dave, is once we get kind of shut out of Montana B, then we'll schedule, when a good window of opportunity presents itself over at your place. Because from what you said, it'll be available throughout the winter at various times. So that's kind of my plan. Let's get Montana B weathered in first. And that's it. We still got plenty to do, and we're having fun. And then I've got some construction ideas for this winter. Um, Various companies and stuff. So I think we'll be able to stay busy making money. Eva is a little less versatile than I am in the construction thing, but she can always get a conventional job, um, and whatever. We do have two vehicles, so you know we'll again we're going to play it by ear. When you have an unpredictable situation, you can't make firm plans. You just have like firm options. I'm afraid that may be what happens over there at the breakthrough we made a couple weeks ago. That's another reason I jammed dirt into all the cracks, is to try and keep out the water. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I say, I would not be surprised if I show up next spring and that whole thing is just fallen down. And you're right, Honey Bunny. You certainly could. Uh, we shall see what we shall see. Um, Although the other thing that's kind of interesting, um, the uh, hunting situation in here in Montana is a lot different than a lot of states. Uh, they have something called what is it, a sportsman's package or something? Yes. Sportsman's package. That as a geezer, I can get the geezer price. I think it's like $55. It allows me to hunt small game, one deer, one elk. Rules for that vary depending upon the particular hunt unit. Upland game birds. I think that's it. No bear. Did it say anything about antelope? Do you know?
The antelope, I believe, are included in the deer tag.
And one antelope.
Sure. I am not sure. We can double check on that. I do know you have to pay extra for bears.
Yeah. And so we're looking at, for $55, you get all that. I have not heard of any, Chris. I do not think there's any pigs or boar up here. I might be wrong, but Jim can correct us if the thing. Dave says no pigs yet. Okay. That is my thought. I have never heard of anyone hunting feral pigs around here. The deer are pretty prolific in places, though. And, well, yeah, they would, Honey Bunny. But so might spend more effort, I'm sure, Brian. Those would be under the small game, miscellaneous small game. But we'll see about getting some maybe meat and like that. Well, thank you, Rock Eater. I'm glad you found it entertaining. If you have any questions, please ask them. It really helps drive the conversation and stuff. And so please do if you do. If not, welcome. Yeah, we don't have much in the way of wild turkeys up here that I've seen. We do have not partridge, grouse,
and pheasants.
And there are pheasants at the lower elevation, but we've had a couple grouse we spooked up there at top of the hill, and we've seen a few pheasant on our way to Montana B. And around here, I know there are some around here, Jim. What elevation do they tend to be at? Are they all over, or just kind of focused in places? We also have moose here. I would be willing to bet you that there's not a moose tag on that sportsman's package either.
I did not see one listed.
Yeah.
But all I saw was the only thing they specified was if you wanted bear, it was separate. It was extra.
By the way, Dave says loads of turkey just south of where you were this weekend.
Yeah. The people who were visited mentioned that they saw a lot of turkeys.
Yeah. Jim says the Townsend area is full of them. So cool. We might do something there. I know they got lots of geese flying around here and stuff. Absolutely, Rock Eater. Plus, it's you have more flexibility when you have water available for processing and such. Almost all of the mineral extraction processes require substantial amounts of water, and that's a good thing to do. But I must say, I've lived in the desert, and I've come up here. I like the mountains. I like the rivers. I boy, the scenery we were looking at this weekend, the Cardwell and Twin Bridges area and stuff. Oh, it was just gorgeous. It was beautiful. I had a wonderful time just driving around. We were trying to shoot a deer, but just watching the scenery and stuff was pretty cool. I had a great time just rubbernecking, and unfortunately, my neck was a little sore because I was looking up the hillsides for deer. And so I'll probably have to get a waterfowl stamp for the geese. Not sure if there's any restriction on shooting them while they're standing in a field, but they've been known to do. I know where a lot of them are, although it's private property.
The geese?
No, Brian. We got all that we need at the present time here. There might be something else where we could get stuff. That's a good idea. Could you just send me an email at your convenience to remind me of that? And I'll talk to the principal and see. I mean, we could certainly give you township, section, and range and see if there's anything that they've got in that area. Because it never hurts to have, information. I don't know, Jean-Francois, and it depends on what kind of subsistence hunting. Clearly, places like Texas where you can just shoot hogs, shoot hogs with automatic weapons from helicopters. Yeah, you could live on pork, no problem there. I know in the southeast they have so many deer that they're like, you can legally shoot 50 in a year, with just standard licenses and stuff. But yeah, in the southeast, the deer are like they call them rats with antlers. There's so many of them, and they like to try and keep it because people get killed. It's a little known fact, but deer are the most dangerous animal. They kill more people in North America, or at least in the United States, than any other animal, and that's coming through the windshield. So it's there are certainly areas where you could make a living. I mean, feed your family hunting and fishing without a great deal of difficulty. I would think the southeast would be one. Just the south, Texas area, Louisiana, places like that. And Dave says you can get 26 deer in New Jersey a year on a standard license.
Really? I wonder what it is in Maine these days.
Yeah, that could easily happen. Moose are big and they're tall, and they will come through the windshield on you, and that's, a ton of meat coming through the windshield at 60 miles an hour is not a good thing. They do have moose here. We haven't seen one yet, but there's quite a few of them, I guess, in certain places, and it's you know that's a lot of meat. But I don't think, as I say, I know they're restricted because I've talked to some of that. I've only gotten one moose tag in my life here, so it's clearly restricted. Okay, Rock Eater. Let's see. It's now 6:54. We're here every Monday at. We start about 1 hour before right now, whatever time that is. 5 a.m. already. So about 4 a.m. is when we start. We usually go for 3 to 4 hours. So it's, anytime you have a question or whatever, that's when we're on. Yeah, there's lots of elk around here in play. I mean, they'll have herds of hundreds of them. I've seen it one time. It's just crazy at times. But we'll probably be spending a little more thought and effort on the hunting thing. Oh, by the way, um, I've been doing a little research because I have an AR-10, which is probably a 7.62 NATO. I presume it's a 7.62 NATO. And according to what information I can find on the internet, you're not supposed to feed 308 Winchester through a 7.62 NATO, although you can do the reverse. They're very, very close, but there's some minor specifications that make it potentially dangerous to run a 308 in a 7.62. And so I'm going to have to check on the barrel on that and see what it's stamped, because it would be easy to make one that would do both. But if it's 7.62 NATO, then I may need to get special ammunition, because all my 7.62 NATO is full metal jacket. So I may have to go to it's tough to find hunting ammunition in 7.62 NATO. And say I'll need to do more research. My brother happens to know people who actually build these rifles. And so let me put that on my list here. Randy, 7.62 versus 308. I mean, they will definitely fit, but can you do it safely? It seemed to me bullet space, bullet is no big problem. It's the head spacing and the case thickness or something like that. And so these are the sort of things I'll need to check before doing it. And I could definitely do that. Now I can also use my M1 Garand, because the M1 Garand is 30-06, 30-06 Springfield. But the problem with the Garand is that the pressures for the Garand were lower than the pressures for a 30-06 in some cases, and therefore you had a problem. It wasn't the chamber that was the issue, or the chamber of the bolt. It was the operating mechanism. You didn't want to overpressure that. So they made an aftermarket gas plug that goes in the end of the gas cylinder. Instead of being a flat end, it's got a hole drilled in it to give the gas cylinder more room. And that drops that peak pressure curve in the gas cylinder so you don't mess up your operating mechanism. And so I could just go to 30-06 Springfield standard ammunition. The negative with the and let me write some. Let me write down here. Bring mag for AR-10. The negative for the M1 Garand is a little tough to get 4-round Garand clips. On the other hand, the AR-10B, which is what I've got, is designed to take the M14 magazines if they have a bottom plate, which other one I had some for an M1A, and you could just slide the bottom plate off and put in a block of wood, slide the bottom plate back on, and you now had a magazine that would only hold a certain number of cartridges. So it's the sort of thing where I need to check it out, but I can use one or the other, I'm sure. And I'll also have to dig out a rifle scope. Right now I've got, the little reflex type things that are more for self-defense and stuff, closer range stuff. But I should configure one or the other for hunting. Now, I like the AR-10. It's lighter. It fits me a little better. Detachable magazine is kind of nice. And the other thing is the M1, the Garand, because you have to put the clip in from on top, the scope has to mount forward. Now, I do have a pistol scope and the hardware to mount it forward, but as I say, just if I have my druthers, no doubt I'd rather use the AR-10. Okay, there's just a number of reasons. So I want to see. I'm sure I can either get hand load 7.62 by someone. Somebody makes 7.62 hunting rounds. I'm sure. Say I might have to get it from somebody who's a hand loader or something, but I'm sure I can get it done. For all I know, I could talk to Prospector Trip. I know he does hand loading, and he might be able to whip up some for me. We shall see what we shall see. But yeah, that's just one thing. I want to have a center fire rifle. Both of them are perfectly capable of taking on anything except a moose or a grizzly bear, Murdoch has truckload 7.62 hunting ammo, Dave. I mean, I can't use Full Metal Jacket, but that would be nice. All right. Dave says Murdoch's has the 7.62 hunting ammo.
North 40 might have it too.
North 40 might, but it's not local. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. That's I figured there's someplace I can get, but that's exactly. Soft points would work fine. I just needed something, centerfire rifle, hunting ammunition. They do make a 7.62 hollow point match, but that particular bullet, the hollow point has to do with ballistics, not terminal ballistics on impact. And as such, it's not suitable for hunting. You get like no expansion. It's a different thing. Don't know exactly what the nuances are, but it's designed to improve accuracy, not for terminal ballistics. But that would be great, Dave. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, say I can just get 7.62 soft points, go from there either way. Mount a standard rifle scope on it, and I'll also see about getting. There were some scope rings I got one. I think it went with the M1A that I traded for a hydromatic jig, but I actually mounted little. They're like standard iron sights, but fit on a Picatinny rail. And so on top of the standard scope, I had basically pistol sights. So if you're in a good, close in situation, but I don't know if any of you, I'm sure some of you have been too close to use the scope. And that's highly undesirable when you got something that's right there, but you can't use the scope because it's just too close. So that alleviates that problem. You can shoot close and quick, no problem. And yes, Noble, welcome. And so, as I say, that's another thing we're planning on doing because, again, I don't know what the situation's going to be, but being able to get more meat is a good thing. And I do like hunting. Uh, as a didn't, we could have got if does were legal in the area we were at. You saw a couple weeks ago when we were top of the hill. Wow, that would be tough. Boom. you know, that was like my 44 would have been more than enough to deal with that situation. So I say that's another thing we're going to be doing. But aside from that, everyone's doing fine health wise. Getting the windshield repaired on the truck. Last winter, it just cracked all the way across because of the cold. So we're going to get that taken care of. And then later on this winter, we'll probably get the rear suspension redone on the truck. It's just carrying too much weight for the stock suspension. So plan is get there's a place up there called Swain Spring, and for like $950, they can pull the. Yeah, but my AR-10 doesn't have iron sights, Dave. It's a flat top. So anyhow, they'll pull the rear springs, reshape them. I'm sure they could pay a little extra to add a leaf or two, and then putting thing uh, um, and replace all the bushings and stuff and get it. But anyhow, it's one of those situations where it just really needs to be beefed up some. So we're planning on doing that. That may be something we consider at the time we're doing that. Right now, as I say, the springs have been flattened and like that, and so the idea is to go to Swain Spring. I mean, I'll get away scale the truck. Front rear axle separately. Talk to them and go from there. See what they say. Tell them my situation, especially when I'm hauling those flatbed trailers with rock on them. That adds at least 500 pounds to the rear bumper. I try and balance them as best I can, but nevertheless, as I say, we'll see what they say. I know I can do a lot better than what I've got right now, and they said they do all that in one day for $950. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I'm thinking when we do that, I'll follow you up in the van and we can go bebopping
North 40 and stuff. Yep.
Yeah. We'll go bebopping around Great Falls in the van while they're working on bugs.
It sounds like a great idea, John. However, the GVW is staying about the same as, I say we're running basically a max GVW. Brakes haven't been an issue. It would be nice to increase the braking. It's got the stock rear drums, front discs. But the purpose isn't to do anything more than we've been doing, just not wear out the rear springs doing it. And I say, I would like to, but there's this money thing. Uh, uh, that's entirely possible, Jim. And I say, I will talk. First, I want to scale the truck by axle. Then I'll call them up and discuss it with them and get more of a detailed plan figured out and then go from there. When you're talking about air requires CDL, are you talking about airlift springs or are you talking about air brakes, honey bunny? Okay, hold on a second here. Let me get that in my. Okay. Star done. Okay, I've got it saved, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, strike anywhere matches have come back again.
Come on, could you stop with all the stuff? Air brakes, yeah. To convert a truck to air brakes would be insane stuff. They do have as an option for this, sort of things was the uh, power boost brakes where they use the hydraulic pressure from the power steering pump to pressure the brake system, and it gives you more braking effort, but uh, the other problem with that is if you lose your power steering, you lose your brakes too. That would make sense, Noble, because the air brakes do have a fail locked mode. You know, yeah, the hydraulic overtype system exactly. Where you use the power steering pump as the hydraulic over the as the booster, and that would increase. But again, now I got a whole lot of well, yeah, but if you lose your vacuum, you've either had a mechanical failure of a vacuum line, so to speak, or your engine's dead. Which, if your engine's dead, your power steering pump is also not going to be working. You could also there's more complications in the power steering setup than there is in the vacuum setup. Yeah, I say um, it's not a bad system. But again, now you're going to have to do a lot of modifications. And I have never had a problem with the brakes that we have on that. And I've had some pretty good loads and I have never had a problem. So I'm not terribly concerned about that. But the back of the truck, well, the steps on the back of the truck that I put 3 or 4 years ago are now like 4 inches closer to the ground than they were when I originally installed them. So yeah, clearly it's got some sag in the rear end. You can look at it and it's obviously sagging a little bit. So yeah, boost the thing. I realize hydraulic over the pin, but I've had the power steering fail on a vacuum boosted truck. Well, if you lose your engine, you're going to lose both. Um, and I've had that happen where the engine dies and now you're having trouble steering and you're having trouble braking at the same time. Not the best combination. So, as I say, we used to drive a 1-ton Chevy 4x4 crew cab, 77 or something like that, and it had the power boost, the hydraulic boost over the braking system. So, as I say, that would work under some situations. Yeah, I say I'd rather keep both systems separate if possible, but also just complexity. Whenever you start modifying a vehicle, you never know what's going to happen. Well, okay, Shaggy, if you say so. Eva doesn't seem to think so. Like, tell me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take care, Chris. Anyhow, so that's basically what's been going on, and what we're planning to do. Uh, I'm guessing Eva's going to show up in when, little one, roughly
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay. So, I say that's just kind of it. We had a great time. Got a lot done. Got some interesting. We also met a gentleman that has both a hard rock mine, and he showed me some more from it that seems to have visible. Certainly got pyrite, but it looks like it's got a good chance of some visible gold too. And then he also has a placer claim on the Jefferson River in a good spot, which has some interesting potential. So that's, I say, every time we go out and do something, we find something interesting. It's really a target rich environment up here. Oh my gosh, everywhere you look, there's a mine of some sort. It's insane, but that's okay. I can live with that. If you're still here, Jim, how's things going with you? Oh, I got, this thing got frozen the other day. We'll see how that works
Yeah,
out.
it's done no good.
Pardon?
It hasn't done any good so far.
Well, what do you mean? I can tell it feels different. It's all kind of
Not
like
much is coming off, I can tell you that.
not much things coming off. Okay, I can't tell. Um, but that's about it. Anyone have any questions or anything? Any subjects to throw out there? Well, it looks like she's going to show up anyway.
Hi, everybody. It was a very interesting weekend. And this week we are cranberry canning. We are going to be canning many, many delicious cranberry things. Hi, honey bunny. Ah, you're still working on a goal. Yeah, never-ending permitting issues. That stinks.
Pretty normal.
Yeah, Jim. That's mine or Jim. He says he's ready for winter and still working on a goal. Oh yeah, honey bunny, I'm going to be making cranberry ketchup, cranberry apple mustard, cranberry rum sauce, standard cranberry sauce, probably some pickled cranberries. I'm going to be making some cranberry jalapeno sauce. Hello, Gordon. Yeah, the cranberry apple mustard is really good. I love cranberry mustard anyway, so I am looking forward to that. I haven't had it in years. Well, we got some science here. New theory aims to explain how gold and platinum deposits formed on the Earth's mantle. And that's what they said, on the Earth's mantle. Okay? By re-examining conventional wisdom, researchers at Yale University and Southwest Research Institute have come up with a new theory on how gold and platinum deposits ended up on Earth's mantle. The theory centers around a thin, transient region of the mantle, where the shallow part of the mantle melts and the deeper part remains solid. The researchers found this region has a peculiar dynamic properties that can efficiently trap metallic components and slowly deliver them to the rest of the mantle. Their theory posits this delivery is still ongoing, with the remnants of the transient region appearing as a large, low shear velocity provinces, well-known geophysical anomalies in the deep mantle. This transient region almost always forms when a big impactor hits the early Earth, making our theory quite robust, researcher Simone Marchi said in a media statement. Marchi and study co-lead Jung Koranaga believe the new theory not only explains previously enigmatic aspects of Earth's geochemical and geophysical evolution, but also highlights the wide range of time scales involved in the planet's formation. One of the remarkable things we found was the dynamics of the transient mantle region take place in a very short amount of time, about a day. Yet its influence on subsequent Earth evolution has lasted a few billion years, Koranaga said. Their findings have been published in an article in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. In the paper, they explained previous research had established that precious metals came to our planet billions of years ago after the early proto-Earth collided with large moon-sized bodies in space, which left behind deposits of materials that were folded in to what is today's Earth. But that absorption process has remained something of a mystery. Aside from being valued for their scarcity, aesthetic beauty, and use in high tech products, gold and platinum are highly siderophile elements. They're drawn to the element iron to such a degree they would be expected to collect almost entirely in the Earth's metallic core, either by merging directly with the metal core on impact or by sinking quickly from the mantle into the core. By this logic, they should not have collected at or near the surface, yet they did. Working with Simone, who is an expert on impact dynamics, I was able to come up with this novel solution to this conundrum, Korinaga said. The goddess finds that an interesting theory. This could become rather amusing. We shall see what we shall see. But they do have a point. I mean, with something that generally is attracted to iron, you would expect it to be down in that nice iron core that we apparently have, that we can't get to, but that's an entirely different story. So, in other news, have US circulating coins become a cruel joke? Well, yeah. Let's see why they're a cruel joke this week. Circulated legal tender coins are neither sound money nor even apparently legally recognized money in all circumstances anymore. Really now. A Colorado judge, Joseph D. Findley, ruled last month that a business owner acted maliciously and in bad faith by paying $23,500 in mixed denominations of coins, pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, in one large 6,500-pound box to settle a debt with another company. Ooh. Normally, people use that tactic on the IRS, which, by the way, the goddess would not advise, because the last time the goddess tried to pay the IRS with actual cash money, they became very belligerent and threatened me with tasers and wanted to arrest me and things. But that's another story, okay? The final ruling was that the defendant, welding company JMF Enterprises, and its owner, John Frank, needed to pay the $23,500 in a more convenient way than with coins. The plaintiff's attorney claimed the payment in all coins was a petty, grand waste of time and a symbolic middle finger and a major F-U. Well, the goddess can't argue with any of those things, but does that make it illegal? Without any acknowledgement that federal policy is largely to blame for making America's currency into a joke, Judge Findley found the payment of coins was a harm tactic aimed at frustrating and undermining the plaintiff's ability to receive the full benefit of its bargain by making payments so cumbersome and costly as to reduce the net amount of the settlement. Again, the goddess has to ask, but is that illegal? Perhaps the 6,500 coin payment was a jerk move by the defendant. Oh, it absolutely was. Maybe the two companies could have agreed on more specific payment terms and conditions during their mediation proceedings. Yeah, provided they weren't both asshats, but you never know. Nevertheless, legal tender payment to the exact cent had been given.
Hi,
yes,
Tricky.
indeedy, folks.
Doing great.
Either way, the use of coins as a form of legal payment is acknowledged and supposedly protected by federal law, Section 31 U.S.C. 5103, entitled Legal Tender, states United States coins and currency, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks and national banks, are legal tender for all debts, public charges, taxes, and dues. It says right on that nice debt instrument labeled Federal Note, Federal Reserve Note. This is payment for all debts, both public and private, which means that technically, no, the Internal Revenue Service is not allowed to threaten to tase you and arrest you if you refuse to walk to a store and get a money order to pay them. Okay? Technically, if you owe a debt, nobody can turn away your fiat. Okay? We now have a judge that said something absolutely true. The plaintiff was right. This was a dick move. Okay? This was a serious FU
For your
move.
protection, Noble.
This was done directly to piss somebody off, I would bet. I would bet this was done maliciously with the full intent of being an asshat. That said, it was not illegal. This is an ominous development, okay? This is a very ominous development here. And the goddess is going to take a little bit of a side note because people say, well, wait a minute, my landlord doesn't accept cash. Guess what? If you're paying in advance for something, it's not a debt, just so you know. A debt, according to the rules, apparently, according to the law in this one, your taxes are a debt because at the end of the year, you total up all your income and all that crappy, happy stuff happens. You've already received all the benefit there too. And this is what you owe for some bizarre and unaccountable reason. We're not going to get into the fact that the goddess absolutely disapproves of taxation in the first place, okay? We're not going to go into the illegality of taxation. But yes, taxes are debts, rent, or payment in advance for something that you're going to be enjoying the privilege of, like your cell phone coverage or whatever, is not technically a debt.
Also, you signed a contract.
Yeah. You signed a contract that said that you would pay it a certain way. But this is the point. This dude was an absolute and complete asshat. But he was not breaking the law. And we now have a yo-yo judge. Well, in Colorado, the judge was probably stoned in addition to be a yo-yo, We now have a yo-yo judge that has decided that no, just because there's a federal law that says that legal tender is legal tender doesn't mean that you actually have to pay attention to it. This disturbing trend of cafeteria law obeyance is getting a little bit radical now, okay? Of course, this legal form of payment does not have to be accepted by a merchant or business. And in some cases, even state governments have said they will not accept payment over a certain dollar amount in coins, which is true. However, believe it or not, there used to be laws in a few places. New Hampshire may still be one of them, that if you turn down somebody's good faith legal attempt to pay you, you don't get paid. there are all kinds of little ins and outs in this problem. But this problem comes back to one thing the goddess is going to be discussing in a couple of minutes: the importance of unbanking yourself and using cash. There are a growing number of political activists and politicians who are actively working against the U.S. Mint's striking of pennies and nickels. Well, yeah, because even the way they make them now, they're worth more than, the face value. Just saying. All too often, the blame on coins, especially pennies and nickels, is misplaced. This certainly is not the first dispute over payments with coins, and it probably won't be the last. The fact that small denomination coinage is now viewed by many as a nuisance is a reflection of its lost purchasing power. A penny used to be more than enough to buy a piece of candy at a corner store. Now it can't even buy a candy wrapper. Congressman Brad Sherman went so far as to call the penny litter in remarks on Capitol Hill back in 2018. I'm going to suggest you simply abolish the penny. It isn't currency, it's litter. If a police officer saw me throw pennies on the ground, I'd get a ticket for littering. And if I tried to pay that ticket in pennies, the judge would get very upset. The penny has been our lowest unit of currency since 1857, since Lincoln.
There was a mill, which was a tenth of a penny.
That was before Lincoln, dude.
No,
up until he wouldn't throw pennies on the ground and call it litter, because back then a penny was worth more than $1 is today. Now think about what that congressman was saying without even realizing what he was saying. Yeah, that's the problem. Your currency is being devalued, okay? Professor Hardrock, will you get the hell out of the way?
Just a minute.
Even 100 years ago, a lump payment in coins would have been perfectly acceptable, even though it would have been tedious to count all of them. And since 1923, nearly 1,700% in inflation has flowed from our fiat money system. And this has caused a shocking devaluation in all U.S. currency denominations and forms of payment. As of 2023, it takes more than $420,000 to provide the same purchasing power as $23,500 carried in 1923. Yeah, virtually none were made after the 1960s. They're tokens. Where is the lawsuit that holds the government and Federal Reserve accountable for the debasement and devaluation of the U.S. dollar that made receiving coins so problematic or troublesome? Who holds the government accountable for mass inflation that has reduced the penny to the status of litter? Feel free to litter in front of my house. I pick every damn one of them up. Well, will there soon be a day when payments in dollar bills, $10 bills, or even $100 bills become as great a burden as payments in coins? We gotta wonder. And one last question. Got gold? No, actually, as far as the goddess is concerned, got silver? Just asking, just saying. You may have noticed gold hit like $1,974 today. Silver, which is better, closed at $22.89, platinum at $902, palladium at $1,083, and rhodium is holding rock steady at $3,850. So there is that, okay? You may have also noticed, or you may have completely missed the news because the media is making sure not to talk about it, that a bank in Idaho went poof. Yeah. Citizens Bank, not the big Citizens Bank, okay? This is the excuse everybody's using on social media for no reason to talk about it, since there's more than one Citizens Bank. This happened to be the Citizens Bank in Idaho that went poof, okay? So, not the big one. This was also apparently the first instance of a bank going poof in the state of Idaho since 2011. And probably the 15th or 16th bank that we know of this year to go poof. So the goddess will once again point out, thou shalt unbank thyself, lest thy fiat go poof. Another weird thing was happening with banks this week. I don't know whether it happened to you, but it's happening to quite a lot of people. Apparently, a lot of people who bank with the big boys, as in U.S. Bank, Chase, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America, had troubles with their direct deposits this past Thursday and Friday. As in, for some bizarre and unaccountable reason, very large numbers of direct deposits kind of disappeared into the ether and didn't show up until hours and in many cases days after they were supposed to be credited. As a matter of fact, some of them still haven't shown up. Now, this is a little bit strange, especially since the mainstream media apparently has decided that this is not newsworthy. Many things are happening that are not newsworthy. Now, if you want some indications of things that are newsworthy, lots of newsworthy things going on. Tons of them. Zillions and zillions of newsworthy things are going on. Like, let's see. I'm trying to think. I know that there were some newsworthy things that were going on this week. I'm sure I'll remember something. Something must have been in the news. Oh, yes. Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty of fraud. He could be facing hundreds of years in prison. That'll be very difficult for him since he's a vegan. Oh, wait, that's right. Prisons accommodate vegan diets now. They don't accommodate keto diets, but they do accommodate vegan diets.
So that means life imprisonment will be so short.
Well, that always assumes he actually goes to prison, which he may not. And you may or may not missed it. It turns out you're never going to believe who Angelina Jolie's father is. Jon Voight. That's right, Jon Voight, the very good conservative actor, is Angelina Jolie's father. He put out a video this week. He's a little bit PO'd at his daughter because she's like supporting terrorists, but she's got really bad taste in everything else, so that doesn't surprise me anyway. Just saying, I mean, when your taste is as bad as Angelina Jolie's, it does not surprise me in the least that you would support terrorists. You know, that's just a thing, okay? At any rate, yeah, apparently tens of thousands of people, potentially as many as a couple of 100,000 people across the country found themselves financially inconvenienced on Friday. And here it is Monday, and some of them are still financially inconvenienced because for some bizarre and unaccountable reason, their direct deposit paychecks and other forms of money just never showed up. Odd how that happens, isn't it? The goddess has no clue as to how this could happen. The goddess has a few clues as to why the media isn't discussing this at all. They're also not discussing, let's see. Ukraine hasn't been in the news lately. Ukraine went poof. Just saying, you know. China doing strange things with aircraft off the coast of Taiwan hasn't really been in the news very much lately. So there is that. So something about the Panama Canal. Apparently the water level has gone low enough that they can't get the locks to work properly or something. That apparently isn't very important either. I don't know. It's not like any of that is critical or anything. And it's not like, there was that weird little rumor that was running around. You may have missed it, but the state of Texas has been having a little border dispute with Lord Malarkey's administration. As in, the state of Texas actually, for some bizarre and unaccountable reason, expected the United States government to fulfill their constitutional obligation and secure the borders and protect the state against invasion. And Lord Malarkey and the minions in Mordor on the Potomac see no reason to do this because it acts against their interests for some bizarre and unaccountable reason. So they were doing nothing. So Governor Abbott, in a rare example of showing a good amount of backbone, which is actually rather surprising for a Republican these days, decided to use a whole bunch of barbed wire, the kind that comes in coils, the razor wire, along the Rio Grande and, in the worst areas around Eagle Pass to try to calm things down. Well, Lord Malarkey didn't like this. And Lord Malarkey immediately sued the state of Texas. And then the federal government came in and started vandalizing the razor wire and cutting it. Well, in a rare and unprecedented and ridiculous happening that never could have been predicted by anybody because the court system usually doesn't do sane, reasonable things, a court recently ruled that Lord Malarkey isn't allowed to do this. He cannot vandalize the razor wire. He's not allowed to do it. It's so rare that a court shows any sort of common sense in this matter that the goddess was quite surprised. So all was well in that regard until earlier this week when, out of nowhere, apparently, a large forklift-type device showed up at Eagle Pass, where this razor wire was and had been. And the large forklift-type device, which was being operated by Customs and Border Patrol officials, the ones that had not been pulled off of the child sex trafficking investigations to run the lunch line. Yeah, that's right, they were making sandwiches. The ones that were not busy making sandwiches were with the forklift. And the forklift came in and very gently and carefully, without damaging it, lifted up the razor wire so that hundreds and hundreds of people could come underneath the razor wire.
Which breaks the safety regulations because you're not supposed to be underneath hydraulically raised equipment.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it also probably violates the court order, not that the court's going to care. So at any rate, that's where that was. And that annoyed the Texans. One can understand why. So now the newest move is the Texans are going to try what the Arizona government did until the Arizona governor decided to, make it go away again. They're bringing in a whole bunch of Connex containers, cargo containers, and they're going to build a nice solid wall of cargo containers since it's a little difficult to lift up cargo containers with forklifts.
Keep it down a little bit, Noble. We don't want to get shut off.
So
it's happened in the past.
that is pretty good. Yeah, that's what they did, Noble.
Thank you.
And
I agree, but
to go back to what our Border Patrol is
we live in a
doing,
free country.
apparently, it also came out this week in random unrelated news that the media was studiously ignoring. You may be familiar with a little documentary called, what was it called? Sound of Freedom?
Yeah.
Some time ago by Angel Studios. If you have not seen Sound of Freedom as of yet, I suggest very highly that you find it wherever you can and watch it. It happens to be about the child trafficking problem, which is a worldwide problem and a very bad one, okay? Well, our Customs and Border Patrol has divisions full of special agents that are supposedly working on the issue of preventing child sex trafficking at the border. Keep in mind that when we were still doing DNA testing on these so-called family units that were coming over 30% of the adults had no family relationship with the children that were with them. The children that oftentimes were acting like they didn't even know the adult they were with. Okay, so let's just keep that in the back of our mind as a salient little data point here. For whatever reason, there seems to be a shortage of cafeteria workers. At least there's a shortage of cafeteria workers at our migrant centers in Texas and elsewhere along the southern non-border. So in the absence of cafeteria workers, which I might remind you generally are paid pretty damn low on the GS scale, if they're even government workers at all, in the absence of enough cafeteria workers to make sandwiches, Customs and Border Patrol got innovative. They did some serious thinking, and they did some serious readjustment of their labor and manpower allocations. These readjustments resulted in some extraordinarily well-paid cafeteria workers on sandwich making detail that normally would have been investigating child sex trafficking. Right about the same time that people were beginning to ask questions again about the rather large number of extremely young children that are coming over the border, in many cases with no adults at all. Go figure. The goddess has to wonder about the economics involved in using special agents to make sandwiches rather than doing their actual job. But be that as it may, we shall watch the unfolding argument and pissing contest between the state of Texas and Lord Malarkey with increasing interest and amusement, while we also watch what's going on with our dear friend Mayor Adams up there in New York City. Bear in mind, New York City is staggering under the civilization-ending and horrifying influx of about 130,000 criminal aliens in the last year. This apparently, according to Mayor Adams, New York is still a sanctuary city, and they're damn proud of that. However, this cannot be allowed because this is destroying the city they all love and changing the character of New York beyond any imagination. Okay? So let's follow the logic here. New York, a city of over 8 million, with an M, people, has received from Florida and Texas and elsewhere about 130,000 criminal aliens in the last year. And this is the end of the world as they know it. It is completely changing the character of their city. It has completely destroyed the infrastructure and the social safety nets for their homeless and their drug addicted and their criminals and their own resident American citizen poor people and veterans and stuff like that. Okay? So, Mayor Adams came up with a brilliant idea here. He told them, okay, guys, first of all, you're probably going to have to move out in 90 days, though we're not exactly sure how we're going to make you go away. That's beside the point.
I don't get that,
He
honey
said
bunny.
they can get plane tickets to anywhere in the world that they want to go. So let's overlook the fact that most of these people supposedly do not have passports or ID, so getting a plane ticket anywhere outside the United States is probably going to be pretty damn tough. And let's overlook the fact that, without real ID, the kind with the little star on it, you're not supposed to be able to fly in the first place. That rule only applies to American citizens, by the way. Criminal aliens don't need any ID to fly, except the letter that says they're supposed to appear in court 3 years from now. Okay? So, overlooking all that, you would think these people would be very happy to get free plane tickets to anywhere they want to go, right? Well, a few of them have asked to go to places like Colombia in African countries, probably just to visit relatives before they come back here again. But the majority of them, for some bizarre and unaccountable reason, are telling Mayor Adams, no thanks, we don't want to leave New York. We actually like it here. Oh man, you really have to smile sometimes at karma in these situations.
Correct,
You
honey bunny.
really, really do. Because now the sanctuary city thing is coming home to roost. Not just for our dear friend Mayor Adams in New York, but also for the good folks in Chicago. Chicagoans are getting very, very annoyed at having to live with the results of sanctuary city status. They were very, very happy to declare themselves sanctuary cities, as long as that didn't mean they actually had to have anybody there. Like Martha's Vineyard, very proud to call themselves a sanctuary city, a sanctuary place, a sanctuary island, until 48 illegal aliens showed up and were gone in less than 24 hours. Having grown up in Massachusetts, that doesn't surprise the goddess at all, okay? Just saying. These people are more than happy as long as they can virtue signal while everybody else has to deal with the problem. Now that they have to deal with the problem, they're getting a little annoyed. And the funny part about this is Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, California have been dealing with these numbers for decades. And the goddess really has to ask one final salient question on the great criminal alien matter. Ever since Ronald Reagan, we have been hearing, after the great amnesty, where there was only supposed to be a couple 100,000 people and we got several million. Ever since those days, we have been hearing that there's only 8 to 11 million criminal aliens in the United States. For decades, the federal government has been saying, oh, there's only like 8 to 11 million. Here recently, they admitted that just since Lord Malarkey ascended to power and became the squatter in the Albino McMansion, over 8 million have come into the country. And yet, when you look at the government websites, the stated official number hasn't changed. Very, very bizarre. I'm thinking this is probably a case where it's a quantum thing. These are Schrodinger's criminal aliens. They will not exist until you actually see them. Either that or the government is lying about their numbers again, which the government lies about their numbers all the time. But the thing to take away from today is gold and silver are still on sale. I got some cool stuff at my local coin shop today. So this is a great time to get all of your money out of those big, big banks and move it into a nice, small, local, in-state only bank that is not in any way connected to the big, big banks if you can avoid it. Or better yet, stick it in your mattress. This is also a great time to turn your fiat debt instruments into genuine gold and silver and platinum, maybe. Or canned goods. Or a freeze dryer and freeze-dried vacuum-sealed food, etc. Because if you don't hold it, you don't own it.
Oh, well, let's see. Anyhow, I see you're here now, Tricky Dicky. I hope
Hi,
things.
Tricky. Say hi to the babies.
Shaggy says, "Have a good one."
Good
Am
night,
a good
Chad.
one. Well, I think so. I'm a little prejudiced. My mama told me I was. Anyhow, so yeah, we're doing great, Tricky, and I don't know what the go-to channel thing is. Well, just because they say something doesn't mean it necessarily happens, Noble. You know, it could be that some people might not obey every rule they promulgate. So we'll see. It's like you can't sell your illegal drugs, can you, Noble? Nobody makes any money on illegal stuff anywhere, do they? You know, no, it's just one of those things that it's getting very chaotic and unpredictable. But you got to cover your asses where the best you can. Well, not only buy and sell, but also trade. A lot of wheeling and dealing going on, especially when there's no paper trail. And I think that's going to become more common. And I think people are going to, in a greater extent, prefer those sort of things, which may work out well in an area where they actually mine gold and silver. So that, oh, that's fine, Tricky. We were very happy to sing happy birthday for the little one. That's possible, Noble. That's why lead is the third most valuable metal. That's been known to happen too. Absolutely, honey bunny. So while everyone's kind of getting caught up for a little bit, since Tricky came in late, we had I don't know if you saw the video from this week, but we had a really fun and interesting week while waiting for the snow to melt from the week before. We did a couple days of construction, and Eva had fun painting, and I did mostly painting and did a little concrete work and stuff. And then the host there decided to ask me to go deer hunting, and so I got to go deer hunting for a day and a half and had a great time. That almost got a deer. He almost got an elk, but it was beautiful scenery, interesting weather. I say just really interesting times. Had a great time. And now that the snow has melted, the weather's improved. We'll probably be going back to Montana Bee at least this weekend, maybe another couple, 3 weekends. We'll see how it works. And it we didn't go do field work while it was snowing. When we went to the construction work, it wasn't snowing, but we did have some little bouts of rain and this and that and the other. And when I went deer hunting, first day the weather was fine. Second day it was cold and rainy. Luckily, I was definitely dressed for it, and so it wasn't terribly unpleasant. And I say I came that close to getting a deer. And again, it was something really different, for an Arizona boy taking a quad over an icy road up in the mountains and looking for deer. It was really quite different, and it was interesting. So I had a great time. Oh, don't get me all excited, honey bunny. But but anyhow, so we're going to be doing some more work out at Montana Bee. Hopefully, we'll get in enough more weekends this year to bust through down to the 40-foot level. We shall see what we shall see. All we'll be able to do is stockpile the ore, but that's fine because usually at the end of spring, the mill is operational before we have access to the mine sites again. So that gives us time to do stuff. We're Going to be doing some more testing from the mystery dump material now that we got, liquid solution again. And we have some laboratory results that indicate that um, uh, the ore is not highly deleterious to the leaching process. And we'll see what we can get done there. All in all, we should have, as long as the weather holds out, we got plenty to keep us busy, which is a good thing. But up until then, we're just going to keep going. Then for the winter, we'll try and find stuff to do to earn money because we want to gather as much resources as we can before the shit hits the fan. Yes, Noble. We are in the process of evaluating and testing 2 different projects. One is in a much more advanced stage than the other. Neither one is clearly a profitable situation at this time. The ore is radically different between these 2 places, and the locations are, I don't know, about 100 miles apart, something like that. One's 50 miles that way, the other's 50 miles that way. And so we kind of take people along with us as much as we can, show them what we're doing, why we're doing, explain the processes, the methodologies, and stuff like that. And in this particular scenario, I don't know if you'll notice, Noble, but if you're ever watching a video and you comment, you're almost certainly going to get a response. Okay. While it says I've got, what is it, 12,000 subscribers, you'll notice right now there's only 13 people on a live stream. I think YouTube fudges the numbers at times. But I like it because we can help people as the questions come up and stuff. You'll never know. We have, well, Tricky Dicky that you see there, he's in the Philippines. Honey Bunny's in, I think, Arkansas. And we have some very smart people here. Right now, one of our best assets, a guy named Rock Butcher, I think you might have seen him earlier. He's a professional field geochemist. He does mineral exploration for big companies and stuff. So we do have a lot of resources, and people ask questions, and everyone just tries to help out. And it's a nice little community, and we like it that way. My wife and I live a modest existence. We're not poor in terms of hurting for anything, but we're not worried about money. We're simply worried about taking care of ourselves, which doesn't take much. For all our kids are adults, stuff. As a matter of fact, I've got my youngest grandchild is let's see, a sophomore, a junior in college, in university. So say I'm retired. I'm on Social Security, so we have the time to do this sort of stuff. And we have lots of adventurous stuff, and that is cool. It's a very interesting lifestyle we lead, but it works well for us, and it's kind of entertaining to watch at times. So that's kind of the overall thing here, and the expertise is generally gold mining and stuff like that. That is correct. We don't need to make money to survive gold mining. Now, many people do here. That one you see that said Miner Jim, he's a professional gold miner. There's other people that are professional miners around here. There's other people that have worked for the mines a lot. And so there he is right there. Uh, it's just, I don't need to. So I can do more. I can do some fun stuff. You were shocked at the luxury of our ride in the latest video. I presume you weren't talking about the minor Bago, Jean-Francois? I thought you would have seen it earlier. Yes, Alex, it is interesting. The broken windshield? Well, that happened. As a matter of fact, I've got the appointment to get it replaced. That, just cracked up while I was sitting here last winter. Oh, the bare metal doors? Well, on my side, that's because the window mechanism, I need to pull some parts out and re-weld them and put them back in. So this way, when it gets off the track, I can just reach in there and put it back on. I have no idea what's going to happen month by month right now, Tricky. It's weird. To a great extent, right. And there's a reason sitting over there for the attitude too. She's been a great help in teaching me what's really important and what's not. And I'll say, we have food, we have medical care, we have shelter, we have friends, we have lots of interesting things to keep us busy. Have we got since last year, have we got a week bored, little one?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Well, I don't get bored.
And so I say it's really cool. We can almost always find something interesting to do. And if we can't, I can always go fishing. Even in the middle of winter, there's ice fishing and such. And so look at this weekend. I had no thought of going deer hunting. I think my host and my wife got together on that one.
Cahooting.
They were cahooting. They were in cahoots, the rascalette and rascal. And
well, I want deer meat. You're gonna get me a deer. You're gonna get me an elk. You are gonna be the great Buona hunter there.
Okay? Yeah, right. I'm not that great.
Expect venison.
Your cousin is a guide in Montana. Sweet, Noble. Ice fishing? No, it means you go out on the lake in the middle of winter where there's ice sufficient to support a pickup truck, and you drill holes in the ice. You're from Canada. You know about this stuff. You have shrubs. Yeah, I know, Lars. That's right. I say, that's weird. You didn't have any safe ice at all, huh? Well, you can do what has been known to be done here, and that's and I have seen this. Some guy he had like a flat bit, what do you call it? A flat bottom boat. He put two like bicycle wheels in the front on an axle, and then had an engine driving a tire on the back like he was like an outboard motor, and that way he could drive. And if he broke through, you're just sitting in a boat. That seemed like a very safe thing to me. But yeah, we're Lauren. He lives right next to the lake. It doesn't take him 5 minutes literally. When we got everything packed up, he's out on the ice in about 2 minutes. Yeah. So, as I say, last winter, it was the coldest winter I've been here The previous one, it got down maybe in the 20 below range, 20 Fahrenheit. And last winter got to 35 below. So that's kind of the normal range, I guess, around here, plus or minus 30 below 0 Fahrenheit. Okay, if he does trick you, I will get it to him. Let's see. That's okay, honey bunny. You can do so. Anyhow, so we have lots of things to do and fantastic scenery. I'm from the desert, and so all these mountains and trees and snow and stuff is just very gorgeous to me. I did a lot of traveling when I was a youngster. My mom was a teacher, and we'd go all over the place. I've been to, I think, 42 or 43 of the contiguous United States, 5 provinces of Canada, and 3 states in Mexico. So I got the travel bug, but I say it's just one of those things that, okay, so let's see. I don't think I've got the email up yet. Let me call that. Lars is asking for Tricky Dickie's email. Okay, let's see here. Wow. Jean-Francois, Richard, there we go. Let's see. Lars, new mail to, come on, what are you talking about? L. There we go. Subject, email. And this would be, let's see if I'll get it this way. Tell you what I'll do, because it's a little hard to do this. You stupid. I'm going to have to just do it. I guess I'm going to have, come on, you stupid computer. Quit with all the crap. To Lars. Could I please see something? My memory is, I said send, not to. Yes. No. Stop that. Send. Okay. It should have been sended.
Whether it actually was sended is an entirely.
And then here's Rock Butcher. And let's see. Rock Butcher, I got something that you supposedly sent to Honey Bunny. So I'll forward that. Okay, it's sent. Rock. State Farm claims.
Yeah, it's probably fishing, dude.
Yeah, Ryan Andrew 79 at hotmail.com. You think it's a fishing thing, huh? I think you're right. Let's see. What else have I got? Got that. Don't need to worry about that. Let me see what we got from the. Okay, we got another thing to deal with the Brits. Okay, just a little paperwork thingy.
Okay.
It's Jean-Francois 762. Yeah, flesh-eating lawyers. Yep. Okay. Okay, I will read that shortly. Thank you, Jean-Francois. Okay, back to the live stream. I used the Gmail. Tricky. Yeah, my memory is a little screwy at times too. Ask what's her name over there on the bed. Okay. Hey, Trevor, how's it going? Okay, I'm now back up to the end of the messages. So anyhow, that's kind of the situation is what's going on here and what we're all about. And it's let's see. And that's what we do here. Answer questions, chat a bit, just let people know what I'm doing. Yeah, and the live streams are on Monday evenings on the hour, wherever you are, about 2 hours and 16 minutes before right now. So every Monday we're here.
Montana time.
6 p.m. Montana time. Exactly. So anyhow, if you want to drop in or if you have a question sometime, you can either drop in. We like questions here because it drives the conversation. But also, if you just comment on any one of my videos, the chances are I will see the comment and give you a response. So that's kind of what we do. Yeah, that kind of messed us up on the Sunday morning hunting because we left at the right time. Did I get a detector? I have somebody gave me a Falcon. Dave Vanderwall gave us a Falcon 20 detector, but I did not get a larger detector at this time.
Yeah.
Okay. We're also looking at a microscope and a ultraviolet light are on kind of our list of things to get. We also got to do some stuff for the truck and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I'm going to make an Amazon wish list.
Yep.
At some point here.
What for? For a mineral light, Jean-Francois. Quite a few interesting minerals fluoresce under ultraviolet light, and it can be very useful, especially if you have a situation where a valuable mineral is if it's associated with a fluorescent mineral, sometimes it can be really convenient. There are some fluorescent minerals that are of substantial value by themselves, most of them not so much, but they are often associated with something else that is. You always carry a 360 nanometer light. That's pretty short wave. You know, what light do you carry? And do you have a link to it? Okay, Jean-Francois. Yeah, Honey Bunny, although some people don't want to get too much, I know that certain people play the algorithms, other people don't. I do not pay the algorithms. I do not have, I'm not monetized. This really hurts. I don't think 900 nanometers is ultraviolet. If I'm not mistaken, you're well into the visible range at 900 nanometers. Let's see. Ultraviolet frequencies. (380 nanometers to about 10 nanometers. Okay. So yeah, that would not be in the range. That's actually about in the infrared, according to this chart here, Honey Bunny. Let's see, a Lone Fire SV. Control C. Click to this. Control V. Enter. (365 UV). I guess that's actually more of a long wave. 395 and 365, a 365, 395, 400. These are interesting. Yellow and white. Let me go to Amazon. Come on. Control V. Thank you. Uh, 365 nanometer black light. $365. USB recharge. Wow, that one's pretty inexpensive. Let's see. Lone Fire 10 watt LED 300 UV black light portable USB rechargeable black light 12 watt 365 USB rechargeable. Okay, so do you want the 10 watt or the 12 watt, little one?
Whichever one's better and cheaper.
They're both USB rechargeable there.
I prefer not USB rechargeable.
Well, it's better than no rechargeable at all.
Well, the question is,
why
can
does
it be recharged other ways?
Why does it not have? This is funny.
Well, the question is, can it be recharged other ways? I want something with batteries.
It's got batteries. But yeah, why did that one come up different? There's the 365 and 395. Now there's one that's only 365. Huh. Let me try something here. 365 there. Let's see. 365 and 395. Oh, that's the Temu. Oh, well, it's a Lone Fire. 501B. Okay. So, Control V. Let's try this one. 501B. Uh, 501B. Is there a 501B anywhere? Well, Amazon doesn't seem to have the 501B. How annoying. Okay, let me go back here for a second. UV Beast, new V3 365 high definition ultraviolet. Yeah, that's why I was wondering about the 395 and the 365 frequency. Why is it so hard to find something in one place but not in another? 365, 365, 365, 365, 365. Let's see, 365, 10 watt, 395. No. Come on, space, you stupid piece of crap. $365, $365, $365. Everything's $365, not $395. Carry a 180 nanometer and a 250 nanometer. Those are pretty short wave, Tricky. How much is that? Let's see. Yeah, that sounds like you, right, Lars? Okay, I'll probably just get a 365 here. Let's see.
I'll just put it in your cart and I'll see about making a wish list later.
3 watt, no, 10 watt LED 365 versus the 12 watt. $26.99 versus $36.99. Anyone have any input on 12 watt versus? Oh my goodness, there's one that's 45 watts, but it's like over twice as much. I agree, Jean-Francois. Tricky Dicky, where did you get such short wavelength UV light? The 10 watt is very powerful. Okay. Lazada? How much did they cost, Tricky? Were they expensive? Do you remember approximately what the price was, Tricky? And what is the advantage of that very short wavelength? Hello, Tricky. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Let's see if I switch to something else, it'll probably click back on. 12 watt 10 watt. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on this one. Put it in the add to cart thing. Hello, there we go. It's added to cart. What else is this? UV Beast. What do we got here? That's the 385. Let's see. $10, huh? Not a bad idea, Tricky. Lazada. Let me see here. LAZADAUV light. Everbright UV Beast 385. Well, that was a weird one. Clamp light, those are for desktops. Lux Nova, Lazada. I don't see a Lazada anywhere. I'm not sure what the deal is here. That's kind of bizarre. 365. I saw one that said 395, 365 nanometers. There's the 395. Okay, UV flashlight, 365 and 395 light zoomable. Okay, let me go ahead and put that one on the cart. That looks, well, let's see here. Battery holder. What kind of battery? This is not rechargeable. 3 AAA batteries. Batteries not included. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. We have rechargeable AAAs and we have others. Okay.
Yeah, my biggest requirement is I want something that actually takes batteries.
Yeah.
But I have visions of getting something that you can only recharge with a UVC like my phone is or something.
Thank you, Tricky.
Having the recharging things go crapola. Like what happened this week with my phone.
Okay. Jean-Francois says, do not buy any LED flashlight with 3 AAA batteries. They're very weak. Waste of money. Okay.
I would absolutely agree with that. I just don't want something that can only be charged by UVC like my phone.
One with a lithium 18650.
It needs to have batteries that you can replace.
Well, let's see. Where's the carts?
That is my only requirement here.
Say what? No battery charge required. They also have UV protective glasses. Okay. Anyhow, it doesn't say what the specific battery is. It says it's 10 watt. So to go for any length of time at 10 watts is probably a lithium battery. Yeah, USB rechargeable. Okay. Okay. And what LED? Okay. Yeah, we'll probably get that. It's $26.
Well, like
Let's see.
I said, it just needs to have
27
replaceable
bucks.
batteries.
Say what?
It just needs to have replaceable batteries.
It doesn't. Everything has replaceable batteries of some sort or another. You can have lithium with 10 or 20 times the power, or you can have the cheap ass little replaceable AAA AA's. Those are your choices. You know our flashlights here?
I understand that.
If this had 3 AAA's, it would not be nearly as bright.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is,
And it would not
has to have
last.
batteries. That's all I'm asking.
Everything has batteries. Is it replaceable? Probably. If you actually unscrewed the caps and stuff, you don't need to. It's USB rechargeable. That's why, I mean, these flashlights here, you have to take the batteries out and put them in a USB rechargeable, charger. Okay. That's what I'm saying is like everything has a battery or it wouldn't work. But those little alkaline batteries have like 1/20th of the power of this, say it's not hard. So that's what this is. This has a lithium cell and it has a 10 amp discharge maximum at 3,600 milliamp hours. Does anyone know what the milliamp hours are on a AAA battery? Say it. It's night and day. It really makes a huge difference whether you use lithiums or alkalines.
I understand that, but you're missing the problem here.
What's the problem?
I am saying that the batteries need to be able to be pulled out and put in something else to be charged that is not UVC.
Why?
Because look what happened this past weekend. I could not charge my phone because we have stupid charging problems.
That's okay. You would have had the same stupid charging problems with something that you had to take out and put a 110 volt charger in it.
I am not wanting anything that requires a UVC connection to be charged.
Sorry. Then find something that has a lithium battery that doesn't use a USB recharger. This uses a USB recharger. Okay?
Yeah, I want to. Well, then how do we recharge our battery?
In a little docking port that hooks to 110 volt through a USB cable.
Yeah, well, I want it to be able to hook to 110. I don't want it to be stuck working in bugs because
there are little bricks that take 110 and turn it into that. See? Here's what we got. This is how we charge it right here. Okay? It's got a transformer and a USB cable. Okay? That's what we do. That's how everything works. Which, by the way, I need to recharge this battery. Thank you. But I say, that's just how things work. Lithium-ion batteries have a totally different charging system. Those AAAs we have is different stuff. I say, the lithium-ion is vastly more powerful than the other stuff, and they don't make lithium-ion AAA batteries. They make lithium-ion monsters like this. They come in special cases so you don't short them because they'll burst into flame because they have so much energy. Let's see. This one goes this way, right? Okay. Actually, I think it was this port here. Let me go plug this in a second. Thank you, Jean-Francois. I mean, that's just the way these things work. Put that get that charging. What was that? What level of charge do I have left in it? 28%. Yep. One thing I don't like about the lithiums is they don't last forever. You have to keep topping them off.
Well, what I don't like about them is they have this habit of spontaneously combusting.
Well, all lithium batteries can spontaneously combust. Your phone can spontaneously
Yeah, you think I
combust.
haven't noticed that? How many phones have I gone through?
Exactly. Say it's just one of those things. If you want the electronic device, you have to have the electrons. Say double A's, triple A's, whatever, they don't have near as much power. And the problem is the discharge rate. You take care, honey bunny. So that's the problem, is the discharge rate. How much power can it draw per second? Because that would limits how much light it can make. And therein lies the problem. You know, if you want a dim light, then you got to go with either huge batteries or lithium, one or the other. And it also tends, yeah, I say it's just one of those things. So, okay, honey bunny. So the Samsung and Panasonics will last long. We really don't use ultraviolet lights that much. Okay, hardly. I mean, we got a wave for years without it.
I'm worried about getting one with alkaline batteries.
Okay, if you get one with alkaline batteries, that's 1/10 the capacity. You're basically getting a little dim light versus a big powerful light for the same cost. They cannot run it at the same power. It's impossible. It's like putting a 20 horsepower engine in bugs. It ain't going to work like the 200 horsepower V8. It just isn't. You know? Jean-Francois says apparently the 18650 lithium battery is the same as a double A in terms of it plugs in to anything that would use a double A. You know, it's just, again, 10 times the power in the same size package. So as I say, you can either have a crap light that won't do the job, or you can have one with lithium that will do the job. Voila. What do you do? Buy the lithium that'll do the job. It would be like having your smartphone last 10 minutes off the charger. How useful would that be? It wouldn't. That's one reason why they didn't have a lot of these devices. Things like this laptop computer. They didn't have a power source that could handle it. You know? He said, I have some, Honey Bunny says she has some 3-volt lithium phosphate cells that work higher than alkaline. Never heard of those. Yeah, and that's another thing. It does give you a flat discharge. Okay. I say it's like putting a little 3-cylinder engine in a giant 76 pickup truck running 9,000 pounds. It just wouldn't work. Lithium iron phosphate are significantly safer than lithium ion. Sweet. I'm glad they're working on the battery technology. how much lower energy density than lithium ion versus lithium iron phosphate, Jean-Francois? In many applications, that wouldn't be terribly critical. In others, it would be. If you're driving a Tesla, 20% less or 20% of? Not sure what you're saying. If it's only 20% less, that wouldn't be bad for a dramatic increase in safety. Okay. Yeah, you get 80% of the power for substantially less danger. That works good. It'll be interesting to see what happens with these electric cars. Oh yeah, the battery packs are enormous on these things. Jeff, Robert Heinlein once said, I have lived from horse and buggy to space shuttle, before he died. But that's amazing. What is the energy density in zinc air cells, Honey Bunny? And are there any significant safety issues with them? Seems to me I heard about those years ago. Okay. I think one of the huge problems that current electric car technology has, aside from a bunch of other things which make them pretty ridiculous as a widespread solution to problems, is the safety issue. Every once in a while, they just like to catch on fire and burn down everything. Yeah, you could gear it down to where we could drive 10, 15 miles an hour. Yep. Really? That's interesting, Jean-Francois. Of course, all these batteries, the high density batteries, have some tricky stuff. So you could always have a heater if needed for something like that. So I know that all the lithium ions have overheating protection built into the systems, because then really bad things happen when they get too hot. Yeah, exactly. Highly prone to forming dendrites and then shorting it out. Interesting. I say that the whole electric powering stuff issue is also, aside from just the raw materials to make all the new stuff, you still have to have the original power. Now, the zinc air, you're saying that's not a rechargeable battery, Honey Bun? Or actually, Jean-Francois said it was not rechargeable. Is it not rechargeable, so you just have a one-use battery that you just recycle or something? Is that how it works? It is rechargeable. Okay. Well, that would be good. Oh, ouchie. Yeah, these are interesting topics here, but they need to be looked at rationally.
They're recyclable.
No, she says they're rechargeable.
Yeah, but are they recyclable?
I don't know.
Most of this green shit is not green by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, zinc air is not terribly bad. Zinc, there's a lot of.
Well,
Hey, Tricky, how's it going? The it devolved into a discussion of batteries here. uh, anyhow, they the whole technology is not ready for prime time, in my opinion, Jean-Francois. And I don't think it's wise to be putting such an effort into something. If you want to put that kind of effort in, put it into research. Aluminum graphene batteries, supercapacitors, and all of this requires the electrical energy, which means probably nuclear power. Because whether or not carbon dioxide is a real issue, sooner or later you're going to run out of fossil fuels. And so, it doesn't hurt to switch to something that's a little more long term. As I think it was Jerry Pournell said, back in the 1980s, oil is far more valuable as a chemical feedstock than as a fuel. We should stop burning it up. Can you explain that in a more thorough way, Honey Bunny? I have an idea what you might be heading for. That wouldn't surprise me. Are you talking like outgassing from deep in the earth as opposed to the conventional theory of digesting old organisms? I think there's some good reasons to think that might be true. What is it made from, Jean-Francois? As I saw something a long time ago, both you and Honey Bunny, that are talking about that made a lot of sense. And that's possible, Jean-Francois. So we can certainly do fairly safe nuclear stuff nowadays, certainly compared to what we used to. And we kill a lot of people with the pollution from fossil fuels, not carbon dioxide, but things like particulates and stuff. Could be both of you guys. So I am not averse to the idea at all. But I think that we should focus on what's the best way to generate electricity. That's possible, Honey Bunny. I think the best thing to do is to try different stuff and see what works. You also may have a situation where thorium molten salt reactor might work really well as, say, baseload power grid, and yet small modular uranium or plutonium reactors might work best for small site power, like, neighborhood by neighborhood sort of thing, maybe larger than a neighborhood, but every square mile. And I don't know. I would be willing to bet, like everything else, there's probably no one size fits all that is actually best. And it could be Goldstream. That's that. I've seen some good arguments made for that. Wouldn't surprise me, Jean-Francois. But again, it may be that different reactors work better for different applications. You know, if you have, you know, like diesel and gasoline engines have different positives and negatives. And perhaps I'm wrong, but I think that neither one is the best application for anything. You know, different applications have different preferences.
There is no one size fits all.
I don't know if you want to make plutonium or if you just want to burn up the plutonium you make. What is the waste products of a thorium cycle? Military, one of the, yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised. What are the waste products of thorium? Are there any what you would truly call hazardous waste products, or does it burn up everything and wind up with essentially relatively inert, you know, waste? Yeah, plutonium is. Yeah, I'd say that's an. I mean, sure, Goldstream. Why not? Thorium burns. Okay, but it burns into something. Does anything it makes becomes bad? Does it create a significant amount of, say, radioactive salt, radioactive casings, the reactor components itself, or anything like that?
Speaking of salt, what are the byproducts from a natrium reactor, the new natrium system they're working on?
Natrium? That's not an element.
They're building one in like North or South Dakota that uses molten salt.
That's probably thorium.
Yeah.
That's what we were discussing.
They called the technology when they said.
Yeah, that's sodium cooled fast reactor. Yeah. A molten salt storage system. Probably, let's see. Jesus, could you give me some kind of a thing? Natrium is, what is your resources comprised of? Yeah, it's the only carbon-free energy source. Nuclear fission, 20%. Blah blah blah. Light water reactors, natrium nuclear power plants. Sodium fast-cooled reactor. What, a fast-cooled uranium reactor or thorium? Probably uranium. Uranium fueled. Okay.
Yeah, because I know they were saying that this new thing was going to be the greatest thing since buttered bread.
Yeah. Let's see. I know that thorium is much more abundant than uranium. As I understand, the thorium reactors require a neutron source, if I'm not mistaken. And that's also why they can't blow up, because I don't know, Lars. Let me ask Eva. Do you recall us using that any hydrazine sulfide as a test agent for the Eco Gold X gold thing? I think we tried that, didn't we? It didn't work that well, if I recall.
Yeah, we tried the hydrazine for a spot test and it didn't do squat.
We tried it. It didn't work as a spot test for gold content, Lars.
Not for us.
You know. Let me see if I can get going. Well, what is your proposed method of getting electricity for civilization then, honey bunny? Uh, oil? That still has some pollution problems. Methane has less. Um, and I don't know what the long-term uh, effects of changing the atmosphere are. Clearly, we would add carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, and there's got to be some other stuff even in methane. Mary.
Well, I'm in favor of blanketing the entire world with a gigantic EMP and throwing it back to the pre-technology age for several generations.
Yeah.
This will get rid of the idiots.
Did you use hydrogen sulfate crystals, Tricky? It seems to me that you did something like that. Yeah, I'm more worried about just the very fine soot particles and things like that. That's why I said I'd be a little more comfortable with methane running. Sure, Tricky. Thank you. Urea hydrolysis? First of all, where do you get the urea and why does it produce energy, honey bunny? Hydrogen sulfate crystals. It's still got a lot of work to do, huh? Interesting.
Can you get the urea from
Sure, go ahead, honey bunny.
Can you get the urea from pea?
Not by the tons per person per year. That's the thing. I mean, you gonna make steel using urea? You need a lot of energy, and that's where things like fossil fuels come in. And nuclear power plants produce enormous amounts of energy that can be applied either broadly or in a focused manner. Gosh, one of those electric arc furnaces for melting steel, pulls as much electricity as a small city. Okay, let's see. How to generate electricity from urea. Okay, I'm going to pause that and I'll look at it when we're done here.
Pea.
Okay, thank
There's
you.
urea out there. I think we need more biomass conversion.
You can buy hydrazine sulfate pretty cheaply, Lars.
We got ours on Amazon.
Molten salt reactors are producing very high temperature outputs that can be used directly to produce dimethyl ether from carbon dioxide from the air, a direct replacement for diesel. Wow, sweet. That would be a thorium molten salt reactor. And again, did anyone answer my question? Do thorium reactors, do they chain react or do you have to throw a neutron source into them to produce the fission? The stuff I heard was that you had to use a neutron source. Not a technical problem, but
Are Are they the kind that use the nuclear waste from other reactors?
Pardon, little one?
Are they the kind that use the really radioactive waste left over from other reactors, or is that a different kind?
I don't know if you could use a thorium reactor in a to burn other radioactive waste or not. I know they have reactors that can. Okay, so Jean-Francois says you add neutrons to breed thorium into U-233, and then the U-233 decays. Thorium is radioactive, but is not fissile. Chris says, yes, FRBs can be reburners. Can-do reactors burn waste. FRBs are FBRs, fast breeder reactors. Okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering, Chris, you got the sequence wrong. You said first time FRBs, and it's like fast radio burst.
Ideally, what we're looking at is ending up with less nuclear waste than
Yes,
we have now.
they can do that.
Okay.
They've got reactors that can burn up nuclear waste, and I think the basically thorium reactors do not create the kind of radioactive waste that the uranium and plutonium reactors do. And I would agree with Jean-Francois. I said, said that they wanted the uranium because it makes the plutonium, which the military wanted for weapons. Makes perfect sense to me. CANDU is a Canadian reactor. It can burn uranium-238 instead of 235 because it breeds the U-238 into something fissile. So what does it breed it into? Plutonium-239? How does it breed the 238, and what does it breed it into? Is my question. Okay. Well, first of all, radioactive waste is not eternal. Heck, it was Scientific American that years ago I was reading. The high-level radioactive waste becomes no more radioactive than the uranium ore from which it was mined in about 750 years. That's hardly eternal. And I say that whole eternal thing is like, yeah, it's radioactive, but so is granite. The question is it dangerously radioactive? Answer, not really. Way longer than me? Yeah, 750 years. But so, say that's something that we have structures that have lasted a lot longer than 750 years.
Modern day landfills will still be absolute perfect time capsules in 750 years. That ain't nothing.
Okay, quiet. To me, it's equivocally eternal. Well, there's a lot of stuff that is longer lifespan than the hazard is longer than our lifespan. Mercury, for example. But that's one of those things. Lack of energy will be fatal in a much shorter time period. Our civilization depends on it. By the way, the cumulative wisdom of our little thing here, what is the current state of our resilience to electromagnetic pulse / Carrington events of the grid? Does anyone know what we have done to protect our grid? That's kind of my thought, Jean-Francois. Anyone else have any input on that? Pretty much nil. That's what I was thinking. Considering the fact that sooner or later there'll be a Carrington event, it seems kind of stupid not to have hardened the grid against it.
Well, Bill Gates and the anti-natalist reduce the population by 90% crowd are probably very happy with that.
Okay. Jean-Francois, the effects of a Carrington event are you can protect against it, but the way you do it is by basically disconnecting and shunting. And I don't know if they can do that on a nuclear EMP event. Certainly, a Carrington event is not going to arrive without warning with our current monitoring systems of the sun. We will know hours ahead of time. Okay, Tricky. Looks cool. What do you have any idea what the concentration? Oh, there it is. 35 parts milligrams to 150 milliliters. Let's see. Milligrams per liter would be parts per million. So you're talking you're looking in the neighborhood of 200 parts per million there, I'm guessing. Richard, am I correct?
There is something very interesting out called project2025.org that everybody's going to want to read.
Project2025.org?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a policy paper out there.
Okay.
That everybody's going to want to read.
Eva suggests that everyone will want to read project2025.org policy paper. Okay.
Yeah, the website is project2025.org.
2.5 grams per ton. Okay. 2.5 parts per million. Okay. So just put hydrazine sulfate couple crystals in the well, huh?
Yeah, we tried that.
Do we put solid crystalline?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Apparently she says we tried that and it didn't work too well. Tricky. And Honey Bunny says, I knew about Project 2025 3 weeks ago. Then why didn't you tell us? Or at least Eva.
I have heard about it, but I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention because now the left is worried about it.
The left is worried about it? What is it about?
It's a presidential transition project for what happens if a Trump or Trump-aligned type candidate wins.
Oh, so how to ignore the election, huh?
No, this is like you'll have to read it.
Fine.
The left is pretty much convinced that somebody wrote a conservative vision to start from day one to dismantle the deep state.
Okay, thank you. Was that hard?
And now the left is worried.
Uh-huh.
On their radar.
Well, the left found out about it, apparently, Honey Bunny, and they're worried.
They're actually taking it seriously, which kind of worries me.
Yep. Maybe that is a difference. The Jin Chan may be different, or it may be just a particular type of Eco Gold X. Because they got Eco Gold X O and this. We got the S. And maybe there is a functional difference there in some way. The whole protection was devised and calibrated for 50,000 volts per meter, but the Russians developed the super EMP at 2,200 kilovolts per meter, 200,000 volts per meter. That could be, but on the other hand, do they really want to do? I mean, say, I don't know.
Yeah, they're very upset.
I'm using the S Series 2, Lars.
It's a project that people can get involved in.
Anyhow, I say, we should be doing what we can to make our systems as resilient as we can to all the threats that are plausible, you know? Tricky says he's also the PSS. I know that even if we only save the power grid, that would be a lot better than nothing. I'm also worried about all this electronic controllers everywhere. How good are those? Yeah, exactly, Honey Bunny. But I'm worried about the sun too. The sun doesn't care about politics or anything like that. It's going to hit us sooner or later. You know, I say the grid itself, if it gets whacked, it's not going to be coming back in time to save most people's lives. I forget what they did. The estimate was like 90% mortality in the United States. Well, it seems to me that at least that particular risk should be mitigated as it's doable. I know the grid can be. Is it? I say I mean, I agree with you, Jean-Francois. Have they done it? Say, as far as I know, the answer is no. We know how. We know we can afford it, but we will not do it. You know? So that's one of the things I hold against Trump is while he was there for 4 years, he should have got that accomplished at least. My goodness. Exactly. I think Jean-Francois, the protecting the entire U.S. power grid was something like $30 billion, which, considering the consequences if it isn't protected, is incredible. You know. Well, not just that, but actually, hello, Adam. How's it going? We've kind of strayed into EMP and nuclear power and a few other little things here. Do you have any questions or subjects you want addressed?
Elderly Jewish man dies after confrontation with pro-Palestinian protester at California rally.
Well, did he die of a heart attack or was he beaten to death?
After a physical altercation.
Okay, somebody needs to go to jail then.
The Ventura County Sheriff's Office is investigating the incident and has not ruled out the possibility of a hate crime.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just saying.
Yep.
During the altercation, he fell backwards and struck
his head
on the ground.
It happens. Yep. Okay,
Blunt force head
Jean-Francois.
injury. The autopsy
Good night.
determined a blunt force head injury and the manner of death to be homicide.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing good over here, Adam. You know, good luck on that position there. Oh, let's see if I can get this here. Okay. Mu metal. Got it. Come on. Oh.
Lovely.
I know a guy that got hired up at Rocky Flats as a hydrologist working on mitigating the radiation in the groundwater. Yeah, there's a lot of mining in Colorado, although I've never seen any place with this many mines just every frickin' where. You know, you can't swing a Democrat without hitting a mine. It's ridiculous. Oh. Yeah. Maybe you could visit sometime. Gee, I wonder why, Adam. It probably wasn't terribly wise of me to drink some of the water in the underground uranium mine I was working at. It was nice and clear. It was coming out of a drain, you know, the drain hole in the rib. I didn't usually, but I was thirsty.
Oh man.
That's for my glowing personality. Does my skin glow? I think everything is radioactive, honey bunny. It's just how radioactive.
Well, you said yourself that your own blood is your biggest source of radiation.
And for most people, your own blood is like half of your total radiation dose. Absolutely, honey bunny. Makes it hard for Eva to go to sleep at times.
What, you're snoring?
No, my
Yes.
glowing personality. Eva said I was snoring really bad this weekend. It was quite annoying.
Oh, it was beyond annoying. It was torture.
That's like, at least you know I'm breathing.
Uh-huh. Well, you can be breathing a whole hell of a lot more quiet than you were. That's all there is to it, dude.
Well, you can turn out the light when I go. You learn to live with it. That's why you need a UV light. Oh.
No, what I need is for you to stop snoring.
Yep. Oh, my dad used to say he was radioactive, but he was a radio person, basically. Yep, that makes sense. Oh. Yeah, anyhow. Anything else? We only got one left here, it says. Okay, who's the last person it says is watching? Come on, just give me a thing so I can see who it is. Is it Tricky? Is it Honey?
Oh, go away, you stupid friggin' thing.
That's you. Well, what's with Honey and Tricky then? They just posted. So why are they not listed on my thing? Well, see, there's Honey Bunny, there's Goldstream, there's Tricky, there's Jeff. And see, it says there's only one person watching and 5 people just put in a comment.
turning it into what YouTube says. It always lies.
Says mods don't count. Well, Jeff Bybee isn't a mod either. Jeez.
I told him you don't need to be paying attention to YouTube. YouTube lies.
Could be, honey bunny. I wouldn't be surprised.
By the way, I never did show you what I bought today, did I?
No, you didn't. Oh, I think she's gonna brag. Ugh. There. Look in the camera. What do we got here?
It's a 1 ounce poured
Looks like
Monarch Precious Metals bar.
it's a weird stamp.
Yeah. They do it and deliberately retro. And this has the silver information on the front. It's from Elemental. There's the mint on that one. This one is a Lady Liberty and Foskis on the other side. This one says the price of liberty is eternal vigilance with an eagle on the front. On the other side is the don't tread on me Gadsden Snaky Poo.
I think I did Tricky, but I haven't seen anything. Have you posted anything recently? If not, maybe the what do you call it? Subscription didn't stand or whatever.
Oh,
You wanna put a link there?
yeah, we all know how stupid YouTube is about that. I still haven't gotten a notification for you.
Is that where it came from, Honey Bunny? Scotland? So, which are the craziest, the Scotch or the Irish? I don't know. It shouldn't. You should be able to post a link right there, Tricky. Your clan specifically, actually. We Scots. We'd be most crazy. Now, does Scots generally have red hair or not? I mean, the Irish have a lot of red hair, but how about the Scotch? By the way, is it Scotch or Scots? Which is the
Scotch.
best? We all do, huh? Both. Okay. Spelling kind of very language. That could be. Wonder what it is in Gaelic. Okay.
Something unpronounceable. Gaelic is.
Oh, that's why it's on Facebook. I don't do Facebook. That's why. That's why you haven't seen anything from me. I've learned 7 words in Gaelic, and at this exact moment, I can't remember but 3 of them. From what I've seen, Gaelic is weird pronunciations.
Just like Welsh, really weird.
Yeah. Welsh may be even worse, huh?
Oh yeah, Welsh is worse. That letter that looks like a double L, but it's actually a THW, sort of. Swelling. Very weird. Very strange word.
Yeah, there's some strange things there. Yeah, Adam. I don't know if you saw the last video, but we had a fun week, and I even got to go deer hunting. Almost got one. It was close. but
Gotta get one.
it was fun nevertheless. Had great scenery up here. Welsh is closer to Hebrew than the rest of us. Not sure why though. Oh. Well, it's getting a little late, folks. Has anybody got any questions or anything? Or I think we should call it a night here. Oh, thanks for showing up, everybody. We invented what y'all call Halloween. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. The Welsh invented Wellington boots, huh? I'm just happy I can maybe be here.
God invented whiskey so the Irish wouldn't take over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a known fact.
All righty. Well, if nobody has anything else, I will just call it a night. And hopefully we'll have a couple more videos out this week. Tricky says they put the back legs of the sheep in the boots so they can't run away. Exactly. And if you're not partying, you're snoozing. So no fighting when you're snoozing. All righty. Well, I think I'll call it a night here, everybody. Thanks for showing up.
Good night, everybody.
And be careful, Tricky. Don't want to hear bad news. So, and hug those babies.
Yeah, hug babies.
And as Honey Bunny says, take care, everybody.